it's quite interesting when you think of these angels, how they can come in the presence of God. They can come in quite a, let's say, a very strong presence that would really demand respect in that sense. Though again, that might not be the best way of putting it. I mean, God doesn't exactly demand respect. Just being in the presence of someone extremely important as God would automatically put that respect in you, that you are indeed in the presence of a powerful presence, whether it's coming in the form of God himself or in the form of an angel. You can't always discern. Those other times it feels more like it is the presence of an angel. Or even you wonder if it's the presence of a departed saint. Now, people might have a problem with that, in that we're not supposed to console with the dead, but that doesn't mean God can't send the dead to you, as he did when Jesus, on the day of Jesus' resurrection, many saints arose out of the graves and were seen by many. So there are times when God has even sent saints as visitations. Though, of course, we shouldn't console with the dead. That doesn't stop God sending departed saints to you, should he choose. And God doesn't always abide by the letter of the law. The letter of the law, of course, could sometimes get in the way of love, as Jesus pointed out. But these various visitations, I guess most people who have a visitation don't exactly see an angel, but they're more aware of the presence of someone important being. Either the location, whether it's in the room to your right or to the left, or hovering overhead, or they appear in your dream even. And perhaps they don't even appear at all, and you simply get a message during the night. And then you know that you have been spoken to, though you know not by whom or how or what, or it was done, how it was done. Joseph, he didn't exactly see an angel in his waking hours, whereas Mary did, which of course is interesting. Mary, of course, seeing this angel, but giving his name Gabriel. And then Joseph being visited by an angel in a dream, though he didn't give his name. Whether it was the same angel or not, we know not. So visiting Mary in her waking hours and her seeing this angel with her more, let's say, physical eyes, and the angel speaking to her, you think, well, did he speak in an audible voice? And then there's the question that should you have had a visitation and the visitation speaks, it doesn't always follow that you hear an audible voice, though you would know who and what the angel is talking about. You might not speak French, English, German, or Hebrew or Greek, but either way, you will get the message and know exactly what the visitation or the said voice, not that you hear an audible voice, and who and what it's talking about, and even the mood, the emotion attached, whether it's compassion, and usually if it's talking about sin, it can come, of course, with a form of anger. In that, not necessarily terrible anger, depending upon the situation. That clearly, if you're doing something wrong and you get visitation, you would be aware of the feeling of not so pleased with you in what you're doing. This has to stop, or it shouldn't be, or it shouldn't take place. And not necessarily in those words, but in that mood, but trying to put the mood or the emotion into words isn't always easy. So there are other, of course, visitations and ways this takes place, though many might or might not be aware of them, depending upon their thinking. And an interesting example of this is in Job. And I think it's one of Job's counsellors talking to him and giving him advice. Though because the advice wasn't always perfect, because they were accusing Job and all this sort of stuff. But even so, in Job chapter 33, verse 14, now this is more of a kind of a spiritual conversation. They're putting forward their different views and how they see things. And they're largely talking spiritual. So this advisory of Job puts it like this, let's say. And this would be true, because many would say, yes, this happened to me or that happened to me. And it's good to know that it does or did happen to you, though you can't choose when or how it happens. God choosing himself how to communicate with you or anybody. But it's important, of course, to have an open mind to these things. And this is one form of visitation, let's say. Like I say, we're at the end of the year in that we're celebrating Christmas. And a lot of people are disillusioned with Christmas and everything else. But either way you look at it, for that person or for those people, we have to say that it is good that the end of the year is marked. The turn of the year, it gives people a time to reflect. Or it tends to make people reflect upon last year and to picture how they could do things better. And of course, even people like John Lennon wrote a song, so This Is Christmas. And what have you done? Another year over and a new year's begun. So those words, we hear them so much now that we've kind of, oh, that song again. But either way, it proves that people think of last year, and we do tend to find our consciences pricked and wonder, what have you done? Another year over and a new one's begun. So here's one of Job's counsellors. For God speaketh once. He's talking to Job. He's thinking, well, Job, you seem to have done something wrong, because God appears to be judging you. You're sat there on a pile of ashes. You're in wreck and ruin. Your house is gone. Your family is gone. Your riches are gone. You're left with no health. And therefore, there you are, sat on this pile of ashes. You have this broken piece of pot, and you're scraping pus from the boils that are all over your body. You have only your breath in you. And you're wishing you were never born to this world. Times like that, when it's so bad, people often wish they'd never been born. So they'd rather be dead than alive, and they look forward to the day, wish they could embrace death rather than embrace life and get out of this awful, awful world or awful situation that they are in. So here's Job's counsellor giving him advice, and it's interesting advice. He's saying, for God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. So really, he's talking about mankind, right? We don't always perceive when God has spoken. We think the idea came from ourselves or just got there somehow. But often God is the one who puts certain ideas in your head. Of course, there is an adversary who can also put ideas in your head. But this is talking about God putting ideas in people's head and how it's done. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth it not. So, right, we don't always know when God's spoken to us. And then he goes on in verse 15, we're in chapter 33, verse 15 now. In a dream, here's visitations in a dream and how it can take place. In a dream, in a vision of the night, which people like Daniel, let's say, it automatically comes to mind with me. He's had a vision during the night and a visitation of angels, so both angels and visitations. But this one is quite different than a visitation of an angel or a dream, though it could have been done via an angel. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumbering upon the bed, Then he, right, God, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. Well, we've all heard the saying, if you've got problems, sleep on it and the answer will be there in the morning. That he may, so in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed. Many people get visitations in the twilight hours and the early hours of the morning when you're slumbering, let's say, or you're just going to sleep. So you're kind of half awake, half asleep, and you've had a visitation and a voice in the night via whoever God sent. Basically, an angel being a messenger, whoever he sent, maybe telling you you're in the wrong place, your heart is in the right place, but you're in the wrong place. And